Ilia's face is just destroyed.
We literally had him get out of the octagon before the hand was even raised and sent him to the hospital.
Despite being cast as a more than 6-1 underdog,
Oh my goodness!
Justin Gaethje with the ultimate career capstone at the wall!
and despite being roundly dismissed as a lamb led to slaughter on the biggest stage in UFC history,
Freedom at the White House on Donald Trump's birthday. What an event!
Justin Gaethje did the unthinkable, brutally stopping Ilia Topuria to capture the lightweight title on the south lawn of the White House.
Champion of the world, Justin!
The man who had never lost a single professional fight,
I represent the new generation of the mixed martial arts.
who had knocked out 3 legends back-to-back,
He got
Topuria
him!
grounds Volkanovski!
That's it!
Oh! He does it again!
who threw a victory party the night before and placed a white rose on Gaethje's casket in a promo video. That man left the cage in pieces, 2 broken eye sockets,
His eye looked like he probably has broken orbital.
vision gone in both eyes by round 2, and then, days later,
Justin made an absolute mess of my face tonight. I can't even see out of my eyes.
Dana White made an announcement that left the entire MMA world completely silent.
I'm not a doctor, but I don't know that. That's not a fact.
This is everything that happened. Let's get into it. The stage, UFC Freedom 250. First, you have to understand the scale of what June 14th, 2026 actually was. President Trump hosted the event on his 80th birthday, which the White House called a once-in-a-generation celebration of the American fighting spirit.
Here is the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Topuria headlined a massive event on the White House South Lawn, featuring a custom-built outdoor set with an octagon, lights, pyrotechnics, and live musicians singing and playing the fighters' entrance music, parachuters, fireworks, a crowd chanting USA before the first bell ever rang. This was not just another title fight. This was the biggest stage the UFC has ever built. Lightweight champion Ilia Topuria, 17-0, took on interim champion Justin Gaethje, 25-2, and Topuria walked into that cage like a man who had already written the ending. The night before UFC Freedom 250, he gathered his family and friends in Washington, D.C. for a celebration. He addressed the crowd and told them, "Victory is already ours." He was that certain. That was Saturday. The fight was on Sunday, and Gaethje's feat, considering the circumstances, is among the biggest upsets in UFC history. 6-1 odds, on the president's lawn, in front of the entire watching world. Let that sit for just a second. Round by round, how Gaethje broke Topuria's face. Now let's walk through exactly what happened inside that octagon, because the injuries Topuria revealed afterward only make sense once you understand how the damage built round by bloody round. Gaethje's uppercut in the clinch was the tone setter. The shot popped Topuria when they were in close proximity and dealt El Matador damage early. Gaethje boxed well in the first round, and though Topuria's shots at this stage had greater impact, jabs opened up cuts around the Spain-based fighter's eyes. Round 1 goes to Gaethje on the scorecards. The target was already set, the eye. From the opening minute,
Appears as though it was an uppercut that opened Topuria up.
It has been Justin.
round 2, that is where Topuria nearly ripped the whole thing away. Topuria landed crushing body punches that nearly finished Gaethje. However, Topuria made the mistake of chasing a submission rather than forcing Gaethje to stand. That miscalculation likely cost him the fight. Gaethje's coach Trevor Whitman said it plainly after the fight. "I think that was a big mistake on Ilia's part, going to the ground because Justin was really hurt." Gaethje survived, got his legs back, and from that moment on, everything changed. Gaethje himself said, "I told Trevor yesterday I think hurting me to my body was one of the main reasons I won. When he hit me, when I dropped, it wasn't the first time he hit me in the body. That was probably like the 4th or 5th one. He had landed some really clean shots, and he could probably sense that I was in trouble and hurt. And I think that fact made him dump everything because it was his last chance to take me out. And he almost did. Almost. In the third, Gaethje recovered and pounded Topuria with nasty lead right hands and more uppercuts.
The pressure fight. Oh, right hand, he hurt him.
Huge right for Gaethje!
The damage Topuria accrued to his face was so severe that the doctor nearly opted to wave off the fight. Topuria responded admirably in round 4, arguably winning the penultimate frame, but one of his cornermen threw in the towel as his face continued ballooning up with a bone showing out of place on the right side of his face. A bone showing out of place on live television in front of the President of the United States. The doctor stoppage moment. Topuria refuses. Here is the most unsettling moment of the entire night, and it is the moment that explains everything that came after. Between rounds 3 and 4, the attending ringside physician told referee Mark Goddard that he would like the bout stopped. However, on Topuria's insistence, Goddard overruled the physician and allowed the fight to continue.
I want to let it go.
He's going to let it go, but this is crazy. They gave him another extra minute.
Topuria said he could not see, and after the doctor checked him, the doctor indicated the fight should be ruled over. But the champion said he wanted to continue, so the fight went on. Completely blind, both eyes, and he waved off the doctor. Pure competitive instinct, pure stubbornness, pure warrior DNA. Admirable? Absolutely. But it also meant he absorbed another full round of punishment his face absolutely did not need. Gaethje later addressed that exact moment on Joe Rogan's podcast, saying, "He wanted out. You know for a fact, you do not ever, as a fighter, say I cannot see. It's over." And he was counting on that. He had already stated it. He didn't think they were going to send him back out there. In a tough exchange, Gaethje landed an agonizing uppercut to Topuria's eye and forced him down. The 37-year-old then closed the round with a punishing knee to his ribs that sealed his fate. Back on the stool, Topuria's team threw in the towel, ending the bout and crowning a new king of the 155-pound division.
Oh my goodness!
Justin Gaethje with the ultimate career capstone at the wall.
Alexandre Topuria assisted his brother Ilia as they left the octagon after losing the lightweight title bout at UFC Freedom 250. The same brother who had been celebrating with him the night before, now helping him out of the cage in pieces. That image alone said everything words could not. Dana White rushes Topuria to the hospital. Dana White is not a man who panics. He has seen thousands of fights and thousands of injuries. He has seen wars that would turn the average person's stomach. And yet, right after UFC Freedom 250, even he looked genuinely shaken. At the post-fight press conference, White said,
We literally had him get out of the octagon before the hands even raised and sent him to the hospital.
That is not standard language from Dana White. That is a man caught off guard by what he just witnessed. White continued.
He's busted up. I'm not a doctor, but his eye looked like he probably has broken orbital. I don't know that. That's not a fact, but I'm just assuming.
A UFC president, unprompted, telling the world his fighter might have a broken orbital. Not a prepared statement, not spin, just a man genuinely worried about one of the best fighters he has ever promoted. Following his shocking TKO defeat, Topuria was immediately rushed to a local Washington, D.C. hospital by ambulance before the official decision was even read in the octagon. Video footage surfaced online from the event showing Topuria being helped out of the cage and leaving the venue after his tough loss. Additional photos showed him being transported on a cart. White continued, "My plans for him are to go home and rest and recover, take his time. It was a rough night for him. I just want to make sure he's healthy and good and not even thinking about him fighting again. I just want him to go home and relax and rest and heal." When those words come from Dana White, the man who typically has a rematch booked before the loser leaves the octagon, they mean something entirely different. Talk about a reality check. Topuria breaks his silence, fighting blind. On Monday, the day after UFC Freedom 250, Topuria broke his silence on Instagram. He did not dodge it. He did not spin it. He went straight to the truth. Topuria wrote, "Justin, congratulations. You said you'd leave your mark on my face, and you did. You took the sight from my right eye in the first round, and by the end of the second from my left too. No excuses. I had one of the best camps of my life. I came in sharp, prepared, and ready. Last night was your night. That's the nature of this game. Glory and pain walk side by side. Let that sink in for a moment. He lost his right eye's vision in round 1. He lost his left eye's vision by the end of round 2. That means Ilia Topuria fought rounds 3 and 4 completely blind.
It looked like he got really damaged in either the first or the second round, and he was having real trouble seeing out of one of his eyes.
2 full rounds of UFC championship-level combat, completely blind, and the crowd watching from the South Lawn had absolutely no idea. They were watching a man absorb that punishment without being able to see a single shot coming. Not impaired? Gone. Both eyes. Gone. Per ESPN's Andreas Hale, Gaethje was up 39-37 on all 3 judges' scorecards at the time of the stoppage. And those were the rounds with a champion who could not see.
This is allowing him to recover.
Yeah, this is not the way it's supposed to be.
The scorecards do not even capture how lopsided the damage truly was. The shocking medical report, double orbital fractures. Then the medical report dropped, and it was worse than anyone initially feared. Ilia Topuria suffered 2 broken orbital bones as a result of his 4th-round TKO loss to Justin Gaethje at the White House.
Big knee by Gaethje. Round 4.
In the main event of UFC Freedom 250, both of them, not one, both. Per the medical report relayed by Marca, he suffered non-displaced fractures of both orbital bones, with the right eye taking the brunt of the damage. Because the breaks are non-displaced and the bone stays in alignment, doctors determine no surgery is needed, which is the best case read on an injury that looked far worse live. The no surgery news is a genuine relief. It really is. But do not let that soften the reality of what this means. In combat sports, orbital bone fractures typically occur when a fighter absorbs direct, blunt force trauma, such as Gaethje's famously powerful punches, directly to the eye area.
I mean, Ilia's face is just destroyed. Big right hand by Gaethje, drops Topuria.
Because a broken orbital bone carries a severe risk of double vision or permanent nerve damage if not healed correctly, Topuria will face a mandatory medical suspension from athletic commissions. While avoiding surgery is a highly positive outcome, non-displaced facial fractures still demand a lengthy healing process. Specialists advise Topuria to undergo several months of strict rest, regular diagnostic imaging, and a very gradual resumption of physical conditioning. Consequently, Topuria is expected to remain out of the octagon for the remainder of 2026. And there it is. Ilia Topuria has been released from the hospital and is on his way home to recover. The former UFC lightweight champion suffered orbital fractures in both eyes, with the right eye suffering the bulk of the damage. According to Marca, El Matador will not return to action until some point in 2027. The most dangerous man at 155 pounds, out for the rest of the year. Minimum. Gaethje's words that stung the most. And while Topuria was sending gracious messages from the hospital, Justin Gaethje was doing what Justin Gaethje has always done, being completely, sometimes uncomfortably honest. Right after the fight, still catching his breath, Gaethje told Joe Rogan post-fight, "I am made for these moments. This sport was made for me. I've shown why I'm the most consistent, most exciting guy that's ever been inside the cage. Not arrogance, conviction. The conviction of a man who had spent years being told he was past it." Gaethje also reflected on the critical first round, saying, "He's such a pretty boy that he was so concerned about the blood immediately. I hit him with the uppercut, he's bleeding, and he started touching it over and over and over. That early cut in round 1, the uppercut in the clinch, that was Gaethje executing his game plan perfectly from the very opening minute. He had already identified the target before the bell rang." And then Gaethje said one sentence that perfectly captured the whole story. "He is in the hospital right now, and I'm not. Champion in the hospital, challenger holding the belt. That is UFC Freedom 250 in 12 words. Gaethje also questioned what comes next for Topuria, saying, "I am such a huge fan of this kid, but where do you go from here? It's going to be a very tough climb back." The man who beat him said it himself, knowing exactly what it takes to come back from a night like that, because he had been on the receiving end of devastating losses himself. He rebuilt, he came back, and now he is the champion at 37 years old. Gaethje's history, 3rd-time champion. Here is something you have to truly understand about just how significant this moment was for Gaethje personally. He had been here before, twice. 2 shots at the undisputed lightweight title, 2 losses. Khabib Nurmagomedov choked him out. Charles Oliveira submitted him.
He had a triangle at one point in time into this back.
Another submission.
And this rear naked choke, and he adjusts, watch.
And then Max Holloway knocked him out with 1 second remaining on the clock at UFC 300. 1 second.
Right here.
Wow.
That knockout became one of the most replayed finishes in UFC history, but Gaethje is built differently. Before entering the octagon at the White House, he said, "After this fight, every question I ever had will be answered." And then heading into the fight, he revealed his mental preparation, saying, "I told myself I was going to lose. I told myself I was going to get embarrassed so I can go to my most primal place and dig deep. That guy had me in trouble. He rocked me, smoked my liver, and I got stuck in it." With that win, Justin Gaethje became the first champion to beat an undisputed champion at lightweight since Conor McGregor and Eddie Alvarez in 2016. Think about what that means. He placed himself in the same historical sentence as one of the most famous moments in MMA history, and he did it as a 37-year-old 6-1 underdog on the grandest stage the UFC has ever built. Gaethje earned a $400,000 Fight of the Night bonus and a $425,000 Performance of the Night bonus, $825,000 in bonuses alone. He walked out of the White House with a belt, a historic win, and almost $1 million in bonus money in one night. Not bad for a man everyone said was finished. The stool controversy, UFC auctions off the chair. But wait, there's more. Because the fallout from UFC Freedom 250 did not stop at broken bones and medical reports. It got stranger and uglier, and it turned into a genuine controversy that the MMA world is still buzzing about right now. Fight fans can now own a piece of history. UFC is auctioning off the red corner stool that was used during UFC Freedom 250 at the White House South Lawn. Yes, this is the same stool that Ilia Topuria sat on during his TKO loss to Justin Gaethje. The stool Ilia Topuria sat on before the 5th round that never happened is now the subject of a bidding war. UFC Collectibles has listed the red corner stool used throughout UFC Freedom 250 for auction, and with more than 10 days remaining, bids have already surpassed $5,000. With the buyer's premium added on top, that total climbs even higher. The UFC's own listing described it as your chance to own a genuine piece of history forged during the biggest UFC event of all time. The MMA community's reaction split completely down the middle. Half of the fans saw it as brilliant memorabilia marketing. The other half called it a humiliation, cashing in on a fighter's worst moment while he sat in a hospital bed with 2 broken eye sockets. The item attracted additional attention given the controversy surrounding the manner of Topuria's defeat, with some accusing the former champion of quitting on the stool before the 5th round, a narrative Dana White has publicly dismissed. And Dana White is right to push back on that. This was not a man who quit. Topuria himself has since revealed fractured orbital bones in both eyes that robbed him of vision during the fight.
Justin made an absolute mess of my face tonight. I can't even see out of my eyes.
The stool is symbolic, sure, but quit is the wrong word for a man who fought 2 championship rounds completely blind and had to be convinced by his own corner to stop. Gaethje shuts down the rematch. So Topuria made his position clear. He wants the rematch, and he wants it loud. But Gaethje is not interested, not even slightly. Gaethje explained directly on the Joe Rogan Experience. No, he doesn't get a rematch. He can try, but he doesn't get one. He quit on the stool. He quit twice. I stopped him twice. What else do I have to do? His next challenge can't be me. He needs to fight Paddy Pimblett or someone like that. That is not the language of a man open to negotiation. Gaethje pointed to Tony Ferguson as an example, noting how opponents once feared facing the former interim champion during his legendary 12-fight winning streak. According to Gaethje, a similar aura surrounded Topuria after consecutive knockout victories over Volkanovski, Holloway, and Oliveira. However, he believes that perception has now changed dramatically, and that opponents will no longer view the Georgian as an unbeatable force inside the octagon. And the rematch is not even mathematically possible in the near future. It is increasingly clear that Gaethje will not compete again in 2026 after already enduring 2 grueling battles this year against Paddy Pimblett at UFC 324 and Topuria at UFC Freedom 250. Former 2-division champion Conor McGregor and former featherweight champion Max Holloway are set to square off in a welterweight bout at UFC 329 in Las Vegas on July 11th. The winner of that fight could be in play as Gaethje's next opponent. McGregor and Gaethje have never met in the octagon, but would represent a massive fight that would likely appeal to UFC brass and fans alike. Yeah, let that one breathe for a second. What comes next for Topuria? So where does Topuria go from here? The questions are enormous. Losing to Gaethje marked the first loss of Topuria's pro career. No word yet on whether or not the former two-division champion plans to move back down to featherweight or hang around at lightweight to get his revenge on Gaethje, assuming Gaethje is still around by the time Topuria is cleared to return.
I don't know what makes me different, if I'm different or not.
Does he drop back to 145 pounds, reclaim the featherweight title he vacated to chase a second belt, and rebuild? Or does he wait, recover through all of 2026, come back in early 2027, and fight his way back to a lightweight title shot? What about his plans to fight Islam Makhachev to become the first three-division champion in UFC history? After the fight, Topuria himself said, "I want to apologize to Islam Makhachev for ever thinking I could beat him. Tonight proved that he is definitely a better fighter than me."
I want to apologize to Islam Makhachev for ever thinking I could beat him.
Every grand plan on pause. Following the loss, fans also noticed that Topuria removed the unbeaten record from his Instagram bio, marking the end of his perfect professional run. No announcement, no dramatic post about it, just the number gone, quietly deleted because it no longer existed. That small act said more than any statement could. Topuria himself said, "I'll heal, I'll rest, and I'll return stronger, wiser, and far more dangerous. And trust me, this story between us is far from over. We will have our rematch." He took the defeat clean. No excuses, no hiding behind the injuries. He acknowledged the damage, gave Gaethje full credit, and then drew the line in the sand. But here is the cold truth. A return in early 2027 seems most likely, and by then, the entire lightweight division will have been reshaped. Gaethje may have already defended the title once or walked away entirely. Topuria may have to fight his way back through the entire division to even earn another shot. Everything that was mapped out with the confidence of a man who had never lost a single professional fight, all of it on pause, because a 37-year-old from Arizona refused to go away. Which piece of this story shocked you the most? The double orbital fractures, the fact that Topuria fought 2 full rounds completely blind, or the announcement that he will be out of the octagon until 2027? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to MMA Rivals so you don't miss the next ones.